a blue light at all. Hey, you guys. It is really late here. I should be in the bed, but it is another one in a series of bad asthma days, which means that I have gotten um, a lot of amphetamines in my system, which sometimes leads me to make all kinds of interesting mistakes for some reason. When I'm full of the amphetamines they treat my illness with and some of the other things, I tend to mistake things and mistake stuff. There's something that happened today that I really hate. Hey, that Amber chick. I really wanted to talk about this a little bit. Um, this morning I did a stream where I talked mostly about why I did not think that Carol Baskin's husband was anywhere in Costa Rica. I was pointing out about culture. Yeah, I was. Yeah. Amphetamines tend to do this. And it means tomorrow I'll have to get up early because I got to let the pool guys in. I have to let the guys in, yeah, to clean the pool. So I did a stream earlier today where I was talking about Costa Rica and why I did not think that Carol Baskin's husband was anywhere to be found in Costa Rica because of culture, silly culture, raises its head again. And this afternoon, it's raised its head. Someone sent me not a screen cap, but a copy of a Twitter that somebody had sent out. And it was Mr. Roadhog, who I've talked a little bit about lately because I don't like to hear any man use the word that starts with C. See you next Tuesday. I don't like to hear that out of any man's mouth. I don't care who they are, what their profession is, who they're talking to, even KJ. If they're screaming that word out, we're going to have problems. So I just said several times that, hey, Shayna, that wasn't one of my favorite words. I really wasn't watching hardly anything by Roadhog. Nothing at all. So today, my stream, that's what it was all about. I didn't talk about Roadhog. I talked about Costa Rica and culture and a number of things that had not a damn thing to do with him. The day before, I had chided him for some of the things he was saying about Ren, because Ren is really going through a rough time right now. I've known Ren a long time. And up until about an hour ago, I had no idea he had said anything about Roadhog's wife on camera. When his wife shared with me the thing that was said, and it was a pretty bad thing. I'm not going to lie to you. The thing that Ren said was really uncalled for. And I don't stand for that either. When you start saying those sort of things about women, particularly strange women, and we're going to have a conversation about that because it's not really true. God forbid anyone disagree with him, no matter how respectfully. That Amber chick, I learned that today the hard way. And I tried to very respectfully say what I had to say about him. And it was me not saying much of anything about his behavior, except that you don't shame addicts and you don't poke fun at guys that are getting evicted. You just don't do that. I really think that the language we use, it matters. It matters so much. And that is the thing that I've learned through this. I actually blocked him a little while ago because I was trying to figure out where this was coming from. Because I initially thought he was coming after Ren and myself, and maybe others, for talking about disabilities because Noel, I've known him a long time. And there's things I like about him, but this was kind of a thing too far. I'm going to have a conversation with him. If it doesn't go well, I'm going to have to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to have to not talk to him anymore or have him in my streams or anything because nobody should be saying that about any woman. Nobody. Not the husband, not a man that doesn't know her, not a man that knows her. You just don't talk about women like that. You don't talk about somebody's wife that you disagree with like that. That's just all kinds of wrong. That reminds me, all of this reminds me extremely of the things that happened to me when I was leaving my old church and as part of my old church. It is disgusting. He goes low, yes. There's no reason to go that low. There really is not in this world. You could disagree with somebody. You could say, hey, I don't like your language, and not watch them, and it's all okay. Well, I understand from one of my friends that spoke with Roadhog about this. He made some allegations that I said some things about him today, which I did not. My stream was mostly about Costa Rica. I talked about things like prison reform. If I said anything about him today, it was just barely touching upon it. And the day before, it was just getting on to him for jumping on T-Spiracy for a past addiction that she struggled with. Like I said, if you have an addiction, I don't care what the substance is, you struggle with that every single day the rest of your life. And I have nothing but compassion for that. Just like I have nothing but compassion for people who are hurting and ill and various things. I have compassion for that. I have compassion for, oh yeah, definitely. That Amber chick, so many times I'd see men act like this. And when they're yelling and carrying on, it just triggers my PTSD every time. So I'm not really seeing straight and seeing exactly what it is that they're trying to say. When I saw the thing that he had shared from my live chat and saw that he had shared the part of my live chat where Ren and I were actually talking, and the rest of you were too, about having a disability. This has just been the worst couple of weeks for me in a long time. This week, I've been almost unable to walk. I've had times when I'm just like clutching the furniture and going from piece to piece. Or as I was saying earlier, when I get in the pool, I've been hanging on to the pool noodle just to be able to balance. My balance has been way off today. Sometimes compassion runs out. Yes, it has run out. It is completely run out for both men right at this moment. I told Roadhog I was blocking him. I told him why I was blocking him. I also told him why I had reacted the way I did, because I'd assumed, because he shared the bit where it was Ren and I and others talking about disabilities, about talking about canes and mobility devices and things, that I just jumped to the most common thing that I have dealt with that, which is people not understanding any kind of disability and giving you a hard time about it. I've had so much of that throughout my asthmatic years, throughout when I was a child with asthma. Like I said, I shared recently about a very severe allergic reaction I had, and I was in the bed, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, come along to this whatever, just suck it up and do it." And I'm like, "You don't understand. I'm sitting here with 91% oxygen saturation with my throat closed to a pinhole. I'm not doing that." So that's where my mind goes when I see that somebody is looking at something where we're all talking about disabilities and they're sharing it and saying things like birds of a feather flock together. I'm going to assume that you're talking about the fact that we're talking about disabilities because of my previous experience with people and disabilities. My mind is always going to go there with that. It went there. It turned out not even to be what he was talking about. Then his wife contacted me and sent me the clip of what Real Entertainment News had said about her. And when I heard it, I was horrified. I told her, I said, no one should be ever speaking to you like that. I'm very sorry he did this. We're going to have a conversation about this. Now I'm thinking maybe we're not even going to have a conversation. Maybe I'll just have to cut off all the negative people in my life like that. Like I said, it's been a hard week physically. It's been a hard week mentally because there's been all kinds of crap going on. I'm under a timeline for getting some things done, some projects. It was a very, me getting upset or him getting upset? We were kind of getting upset with each other. So I said what I had to say, which was basically nobody needs to be saying that. If I misunderstood you, I'm sorry, but this is what's going on here. This is how I'm looking at this. I try not to fight with anyone. I try to understand what's going on with everyone, even though I may not listen to everyone. And that's where I am with it. I have no desire to fight with everybody and anybody. I reserve what little energy I have for fighting with you know who without a box of Kleenex is going to be number one for me. Yet at the same time, like I said earlier, this may be what he was thinking I was talking about him about. Ah, yeah, it is. There's no way to see everything. You're exactly right. And one of the points I was trying to make earlier, and he probably thought I was talking about him, and I was, except that I was also talking about, I could name probably 20 other people, about new people coming to the KJ Truther community and starting YouTubes and jumping in with both feet when they don't really have, hey, Claire, when they don't really have a complete understanding of what's going on. So they're jumping in and they're making all these streams and they're yelling and screaming and chewing the scenery and accusing this and that and the other thing of everything else. And it doesn't really help it doesn't help the community at all. In fact, it makes it harder on the rest of us if we have newbies coming in who are violating every single law of polite society while they're doing these things, and they're not concentrating on the behaviors. Hate the behavior, not the people. Hey, Megan Broussard. You should know, I should know how to say Broussard now because I'm an old Cajun here, but I'm stumbling over myself. I forget you can't read my mind sometimes. I totally agree with all you're saying. I hope things get better for Amber Chick. Thank you. But yeah, I can't read minds. I say I can't read minds. I like to say hate the behaviors, not the people. There are a lot of things that we don't need to be poking at each other about. Um, Things that can't help, like addictions or not having an addiction, like education or not having an education, like looks are big. And I got to admit, I'm guilty because I've said something about the chin and the horn growing on the forehead, and I know that's wrong. And every time I find myself starting to go, I know I'm not supposed to say things about that. If we would turn down at 50 clicks and listen a little, I mean, I don't know. I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, yeah. It would go a long way. Feeling same way you are. YouTube has fractures going on everywhere. Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't even have to ever get offended with anybody else. Um, you could look at what they're doing, and like I said, I'm not a big Roadhog fan, but I've been kind of like, yeah, you're fine. Just stick in your corner over there, and kind of cringing away from the language because for me that language is problematic. And I'm curious how they get around YouTube censor. I can't. Well, thanks, Karma Kid. I try. Sometimes I fall down. Sometimes I say something about the chin or the eyebrows. And I know, like, look, right now, my eyebrows are uneven, and I don't even know why. I've got littler hair, more hair. I don't know. And I live in such a bubble, a clean bubble, without different substances, without cleansers, without these things, just with real basic stuff that sometimes these things don't get done right. Because quite frankly, I don't fool with them. So where was I wrote notes. So I didn't know about what was said by Ren about Roadhog's wife. I had no idea because I seldom have time to watch everybody's streams. Right now I've been watching Renell and I've been watching history. And I've fallen face first into those poor painting videos where you pour the paint on and then you wiggle it and hit it with this and that. Those are the things that I spend the majority of my time looking at if I'm on YouTube. Yeah, they do censor a lot. I have to be very careful with unicorn sparkles to what I say. Oh, now I am without a box of Kleenex. For some reason, I am unable to get Kleenex in my neck of the wood all of a sudden. I guess it's one of those shortages. So I got toilet paper because my Lyrica makes me drool occasionally. It's kind of weird. I'm drooling on myself. So I didn't know about that. Had I known, I would have said something to Ren about it this morning. I wouldn't have waited. And I would have said something the day before when I said something about Roadhog. I would have said, Ren, no, no, don't do that. And telling people not to do stuff or you think their behavior is bad is not the same as saying you're a bad person at all. And I think that people mistake that. They think you hate the person when you call out their behavior. I've said this about KJ. I don't wish anything bad on her at all. I just want her to stop some of the more problematic behavior she's doing. Roadhog makes a lot of personal attacks, and I really don't think there's any room for that in YouTube, quite frankly. That puts him up there with PJ and many of the others that do that kind of stupid thing. Who was the one that was recently doing Red Rampage? There's really no place for that. Language is so disrespectful. I'm not gonna go to those channels. And honestly, you're always going to have creators like this, and people have a hard time hearing criticism. They do. When they think that every word that falls out of their mouth is perfect and everybody else is all screwed up, you're going to get these things. YouTube seems to bring out some really weird behaviors. And like I said, it's been a couple of weeks of weird behaviors. I had all those people that had listed me on Parler saying they were going to shut me down. And the things they had all listed were all silly things that would just bring engagement for me, which really made me laugh. But anytime you have to stop and delete 500 people off your Twitter, it's kind of stressful. And trying to get my book on my old church finished. I got so many silly projects going on right now. So I really don't need to be dealing with all this crap. Between that and the health, it's just been crazy. You know, if he just wanted to criticize the words of others, the behaviors, that's one thing. I think all the attacks are uncalled for. People never agree all the time, and that's okay. You're right, that Amber chick. What isn't okay is when folks lash out and say hateful things to each other. It's just not okay. Absolutely. Kristen in almost said North Carolina. No, you're not North Kakalaki. You were in New Zealand, where the place my son wants to move to. I still want to go see that. I don't know about you guys. I am waiting for the world to unlock. I really want to go to Europe again. I want to go back there so badly. I want to go to Rome. I want to go ride the canals of Venice. I love Italy, northern Italy especially. I want to do that. I want to go back to Switzerland and to Austria. I want to go back to Salzburg, back to Germany where I lived for 4 very happy years. I want to go back to Paris, to London. I want to ride the London Eye. I'm just eager to travel again, travel around South America, travel all over the place. I am just eager to do it, and I'm waiting for everything to unlock. So I'm trying to focus on the positives, trying to keep making art. I'm trying not to get, and I think after tonight, I'm not going to comment on any other creators. Oh, unicorn, I want to so bad. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm hoping so. We're my husband's former unit with the military is supposed to be having a reunion this year. They're asking all of us to come back to Germany. I want to go back. I want to stick my head in the USO office where I used to work and say hi to everybody. Hi, Sheila's. And I have a big desire to do all those things, along with do a bunch of things around here, like build a studio building, actually, if I can. There's something else I want to impart to you real quick, and that's another thing is a big takeaway from these fights. Oh, you want to see the ocean again? Any ocean will do. I'm so over this panini virus. The panini virus, yeah. Come to Costa Rica. Everything's opened, but we're still having high rates. We're still listed as a number 4 do not travel with the U.S. State Department, but everything is unlocked and most people here are vaccinated. So that means hopefully everything will go down. And you can see the ocean here. And I don't blame you. I go a couple times a week to the ocean, about a mile and a half away. So I get to smell the fresh sea air every day, and I like it. I was just going to say there's one thing that this whole thing has brought out, besides the fact that it sent me back to Fundy Town. And I'm trying to write about that. Right now, I'm stuck on writing about a friend of mine who I discovered lived for male gaze. That was the thing that filled her tank and got her going and led her to fall into a pile of affairs. One of my best friends at my old church. I just have so many weird stories. And I was sitting there the other night and I was looking at these weird stories that I've been writing down. One of those little outbuildings from my backyard and building to, oh, you know me and my messy art too. I need to do that. You should see what I did to the deck the other day doing a pour painting. And it turned out, my pour painting turned out poorly. I had to scrape it off with a palette knife, even though it did leave a lovely background because once I hit the paint with the heat gun, it bubbled everything up and that part was nice. I left that part. So in the part in the center that was gross, I'm putting a sunflower there. I started on it tonight. I want a she shed that I can paint in. Yes, an art she shed. I could take over one of the other bedrooms here, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm crammed in with my fiber arts in my sewing rooms. I'd rather not paint in the same room I have fabric. So one thing this has led me to remember again and remember this about Fundy is particularly since I was just writing about this in the book. Everyone will tell you who they are. They may not tell you eventually. They may tell you pretty words and they may tell you all sorts of things. They may virtue signal with their t-shirts that say strong believer in God or whatever. They may virtue signal. I love this newsboy Hillsong, whatever compilation. They may virtue signal like that. But if you watch long enough and you don't listen to their words and you don't look at the virtue signaling and you don't look at the Jesus junk, like huge crosses and things. But if you watch, you pay attention and you watch what they're doing. Everybody shows us exactly who they are through their actions. And I cannot say that one enough. They will show you who they are. We are spoiled in New Zealand. We're completely surrounded by beautiful beaches. 12 beaches in a 20-minute drive. Oh, Kristen, sounds like you and I have very similar situations. I'm 10 minutes from 10 beaches. And I'm a mile and a half from one of the best beaches in the world. It's called Playa Grande. Quick Playa Grande tale. I was there one day and I was hearing everybody whispering, Laird, 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 Laird. I kept hearing the word Laird over and over. It's like, who is here? Laird. And it dawned on me, it was Laird Hamilton, one of the top surfers in the world, was surfing on Grande that day, and I got to see it. He has been a hero of mine. I don't have balance, so I can't possibly surf anymore. But it was so good to be able to see somebody who was one of the world champions do it, who has been. Those pour paintings, they're really hard. Harder than they look like they would be. Amber, I'm glad I'm not the only one trying. I think I figured out a way to do one that I want to do. I want to do the ocean, and I have been experimenting with different patterns and different pours and different. Now, I had a girlfriend here that used to do nothing but pour paintings, and she sold them like crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was looking at it going, what the heck? You just poured that paint on there. That's not artistic at all. You're not painting. You're not using a brush. But since I've tried it a few times now, it's not easy. Aplenty. Yeah, Sheila and Unicorn Sparkles. I've fallen in love with plants. I've gone crazy with my plants here. I have all kinds of house plants. I got all kinds of plants in the yard that I've gotten the gardener to plant. Good night, Noel. Sleep well. And I don't have any indoor jungle. I just have a ton of plants on the deck now. Well, the patio. We've got a covered patio outside. It runs around about a half of our house. Red tile on the floor. teak ceilings, and it is lovely. So I'm filling it with as many plants as I can get my hands on. Huge mess. So those of you that pour paint, what do you use under your paintings? Right now I'm using those big plastic garbage bags. I'm sticking those all up under the paintings to catch the paint. I found that my blow dryer works almost just as well as a heat gun. Um, it is pretty, but I want it to be prettier still. Plant traps all your plants. That's one way to do it. It's hard to get plants here, so I've had to do a lot of like cutting plants up and rebrooting them and doing all that. I've had to do that quite a bit to get plants. Oh, it is beautiful. We are so blessed by this house. This is not quite what we intended um, when we got here. We were going to rent for a year, 2 years, and then think about building or buying. But we started looking, and the realtor showed us this place, which had a contract on it and somebody else. And he told us he thought the contract was going to fall out in about a week, and it did. And we were able to snap it up then because it was a bargain basement price. And it was just lovely. So I couldn't understand why it wasn't selling. Propagating, yeah, I'm doing a lot of that. I'm having to because, like, I want to have a whole bunch of hanging ivy off of the back window sills because I've got these very nice wide window sills that are perfect for plants. I have cactuses and succulents in the front windows. I want to put hanging ivy in the back windows. There are, and the thing is, it's kind of funny because we did have a gardener, a guy that was doing some gardening work for us. He said, I want to do cactuses all in front by the gate. And one of the problems I've had here, and it goes back to sort of what we've been having dealing with in the community, is that if you're a woman and you're telling a man here what to do in this very patriarchal society, they don't always listen. I've had gardeners that have told me, hey, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I want to get a couple of the orchid bushes and put them here and a couple of the crinkly ferns there and put a screen of plants between us and the guest house. So everybody has their privacy. I don't have to look at them in their underwear. They don't have to look at me in my underwear. And the gardener said, sure thing, and turned around and planted gingers all over the place. The problem with gingers, and they are lovely, the problem with gingers is they require enormous amounts of water. So I'm standing out there with a hose every single day during dry season to keep the poor gingers alive. It's a task. And the last gardener cut them way, way back, and they're not coming back as well as I would have liked. So this one gardener said, we're going to put cactuses all in front by the gate. I said, I don't really want cactuses by the gate. I wouldn't mind having some cactuses on property here, but I don't want them outside the gate. This guy totally ignored me. He's a Tico, and I'm a woman, so the opinion does not matter. So he went out and got cactuses with my husband. Did he buy them? No. He went out with a machete, found cactuses on the edges of their properties, and cut them off and took all the little bits and pieces back. Only 2 of them survived, but the 2 that survived are lovely. But I do feel a little weird about going and cutting them off of somebody else's. But you're not going to find them in very many places here. There are some nurseries, but I've gone from nursery to nursery, and sometimes you can find what you want, and sometimes you can't. Now, I had a gardener that wanted to put more plants thickly in the hedges that run along our sidewalks. And he picked out some plants at the nursery, and I said, hey, no, those are the same type of plant, but they're the wrong size. Those are the ones with the big blossoms and the big leaves, the ones that make up the hedges along the walkway are little flowers, little leaves. He basically said, Oh, that's not good. You do that and you can get booted by um, YouTube. They can take your channel for that. So I said the wrong ones. So I ended up having him plant them somewhere else entirely. It worked out, but I still am. I've done a ton of gardening and landscaping here. I'm still not done. I still have a lot more to do. I still want to put some bushes outside by the front gate, something big. And I'm going around looking at my neighbors. Some of my neighbors have some really beautiful stuff. But I'm thinking I'm going to go all with like blooming bushes. I need a hydrangea. Not a hydrangea would be nice, and do grow here. But I want to put in a hibiscus and a few things like that. They have these lovely bushes that have purple and yellow orchids on them. I want several of those and the crinkly weird ferns still. So I'm probably going to have to put my husband to work to get the right plants planted in the right spots. And I've been cutting and rerooting all the gingers. So now I have like 10 ginger plants to plant elsewhere. Yeah, you cannot be flagging, telling your followers to flag people. That's a good way to lose your channel. And so this leads me to my last point of the evening. Yesterday, I had I think she was a fundamentalist Christian, start attacking me like crazy. And I was like, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell is going on here? And then it dawned on me after I looked at her YouTube channel. She's got 46 subscribers. So it looked like it was a case of the smaller creator, the micro creator attacking the micro creator me. And I just had to laugh because once I started watching her videos and hearing her theories, it was just, and she's another one that got booted from YouTube and came back, which is against YouTube's terms of service. They'll pull your account if they find you doing that. And I got a big laugh because one of the things that she said was that she had these conspiracy theories. One of the ones that made me laugh the hardest was she said that she was watching the Terminator movie series and that the Holy Spirit had spoken to her through the Terminator series and had told her that the COVID vaccination was the mark of the beast, 666, and that everybody who got the vaccination was going to hell. I just had to laugh at that. That was one thing that was horrible about my years in fundamentalism, was some of the conspiracy theories and things I heard people come up with that I would have to say, I don't think it quite works like that. From flat earth to uppity women to everything. I've only ever reported a lie that had threats of this or discrimination against marginalized people. Yeah, I agree. Now, I've never gathered my friends to help. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever done it. I've done it to all of Steven Anderson's videos because he also has been banned from YouTube for hate speech. Some of the same speech this lady is spewing out about. She likes to say that gays are an abomination who aren't supposed to be alive. And I find that really creepy. That's the same thing that Steven Anderson says, except that he goes even further and says that the government needs to kill all the gays. Not happening. But he's had his channel taken away because of that. And they now ferret him out every time he comes back and squash him like that. Like Critical K, they took her channel away. She made a new one. Within 2 weeks, it was gone. YouTube isn't stupid. If you come back after you've been pushed out, they will find you and take you down. It might take them a few weeks, but they will do it. Good night, Sheila. I wish Roadhog would take a breath. Not good for one's blood pressure to get so upset. Unicorn, I feel bad for him in that respect. I think he'd be a lot happier if he would just take a step back and think and would concentrate on the things that are important, like his wife and kids. do live streams about being a trucker. I would find that fascinating. But then again, I find all those work things fascinating that people do, those streams, and the medical ones and the ones where they explain how they've flown a plane and these crazy things that have happened. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, Kentucky Girl. One of the funniest ones I've just got to share, I've learned since I've been watching some of the flight ones, because I started following a couple of pilots so I could ask a couple of questions like, why on earth do sometimes you see smoke trails coming out of the engines, which you do see that every now and then? Why would a pilot circle the airport 4 times? Um, yeah, so I watch that sort of thing. And I got an answer to my question. I used to fly Spirit out of San Jose. And when you would fly in and out, between the time you landed or you took off and you were being towed around or you were rolling down the runway, on Spirit, you would hear what sounded like a dog barking. And I thought, that is the weirdest thing of all times. So I finally asked my question and said, why does this sound like a dog barking on some planes when you're on the ground? And they explained that it was the hydraulic system, the emergency backup hydraulic system on Airbus airplanes. And that what happens is when you're on the ground and the hydraulics drop on one side or the other, or the emergency system kicks in. And that's going to happen when you're apparently landing and being pulled to your gate, or you are rolling down trying to get ready to go on to your gate. My strange obsession on YouTube lately has been lawn mowing videos. Oh, wow. I'm going to have to check some of those out. For a while there, I was completely obsessed with the visiting the graveyards videos. That was pretty interesting too. And there's a lady that's a mortician that answers all kinds of questions. And she is very interesting. She has had some very crazy stories to tell, and she's demystified some things for me as well. And I can tell you from looking at the graveyard ones and her videos, I want to be cremated and scattered. I do not want to be planted. Somebody to dig your body up. So YouTube is good for that, if nothing else. It's really good for education and learning all that. You've seen the mortician? Yes. She's interesting, isn't she? She's always got a crazy tale to tell, or 2 or 3. And the historical ones, I love to see all the crazy crap that has happened that never makes it into history books, or you don't see much in the history books about them, like the St. Francis Dam that went in California, in Southern California, back in the 1930s. And it killed hundreds of people in the Los Angeles area. It just went on through. The water just destroyed so many things. Yeah, Kentucky Girl, I love history videos too. History is my jam, as I like to say. And I'll say this too, Todd Paulson. I didn't hate his one history video he did, Bruce, talking about the history of Halloween. I didn't hate it. Oh, Babs, I am obsessed with videos of commercial airplanes assisting with putting out wildfires like we see in Southern California. Those are incredible, not to mention the balls of the pilots flying them. I follow this pilot on YouTube. His name is Kelsey. He has a 7-4 crew is the name of his video series, I think. He flies a Boeing Dreamliner. Those huge planes that they put other airplane parts in and fly them around the world. There's only like 4 of those, and he's the pilot of one of them. Really interesting stuff. Oh, I love Kelsey. He is awesome. And he tells the best stories, particularly when he starts doing cockpit confessions and starts talking about the flight attendants getting stuck in the overhead bins while they were posing for Instagram pictures and different things. Check out Lucas Flight. I'll have to do that. I definitely will. Really pretty slime and telling stories. I've seen that too. I've looked at a ton of the slime ones. I've looked at a ton of the art ones too. I don't know if any of you follow Hexagon. I think that's his name. He does dolls. He repaints dolls, and it is just the most incredible thing I have ever seen. I would love to be able to do that, but that is not my creativeness. That is not my jam. Not at all. I stick to my little corner of stuff, and I'm still struggling with pour painting and watercolors because I want to paint like I'm painting with oils. So it doesn't work. Just pause 747s. And every pilot's dream is to be a Dreamliner pilot when they jump over commercial flying. I can't say blame them. They're incredible. Kelsey flies those. He's talked about these. He's done a couple of videos about Dreamliners. And it's just incredible to look at those and think that that can fly in the sky. The closest I've seen to that are some of the military planes that I've seen fly all over the place. Oh, like some of the planes that they were doing the airlifts out of Afghanistan, when you would see hundreds of people, 500 or 600 people packed in on the floor of these enormous cargo carriers, and just going, wow. So, and he's demystified a lot of the things I've always wondered about. That takes some skill, Babs. That takes some real skill. I've been lucky enough to have friends that have had private airplanes and gone flying many times, the little ones. Yeah, I got to go to bed. It's late. Even here, it's late. You struggle with disability too, and from the outside, it look fine, but because the airless, my arteries are blocked. Oh, yeah. I have that. I have all kinds of problems with that. People say, "Oh, you look fine. You look fine. You look fine." I look fine. I'm falling on the ground, and the ticos are pointing and going, "She's drunk. She's drunk." I wish I was drunk. That'd be a lot more fun. So I'm going to go ahead and go too. I just realized what time it is. Oh my God. I was just so upset when I realized. Well, I was upset when I got the first thing and said, is he picking on us because we have disabilities? And then when I realized he was upset about what Ren had said about his wife, and then when I found out what it was, I was pretty horrified. Have a great evening, everybody. Get to bed if you can. If you stay up all night or you're in another country, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your day or night wherever you are, and I will see you later. Uh, yeah, same here. Same here, Bits and Bytes. I will be rich.